like the covers of this. I don't remember who did the covers. Brian Stelfreeze, if you're still working, I really like these. Got this interesting style. I like them all the covers, and I don't know, something about it I just really enjoy.
Take it all back, because you know that.
So if you watch my episode on One Villainous Scene, I have really appreciation for Ninja Children's comic books in general. So when I saw that another group of essayists, not like big ones, is DC defined. What has defined? I think the prompt was, what has defined DC? I was really struggling to find what I wanted to do. Wanted to talk about maybe Justice League cartoon or stuff like that, and that's what a lot of people are doing. It's about, I think you can do anything in DC, but a lot of people just did animated stuff. But I wanted to talk about a 3-part story in a book in the 90s called Shadow of the Bat, and it was written by Alan Grant, art by Tim Seeley. It was a small story called The Misfits. I came across this story thanks to Mr. Rogues when he talked about it. He likes talking about obscure rogues in DC mainly. And I really feel like the unknowables, the regrettables, really define DC. I never really gravitated towards characters like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, characters like that. I do enjoy those characters and have appreciation for them. But the real obscure characters I really gravitated towards, or the weird stuff. Whenever I go to Ben's, there was books like Blood Wolf, Young Blood, the mini image comics, American Eagle. These obscure comic book characters I really gravitated towards. So I was like, they're kind of cool. Why weren't they used? The story really shows why DC likes to use obscure characters and how they've kind of changed the landscape. A lot of obscure characters were mainly created as filler villains of the week to just fill out a story. And until you want to tell about the main characters, like an arc about the Joker using Joker Fish, or the Penguin stealing, I guess, a $1 million umbrella. I guess, I don't know. But I really enjoyed the story, and it really focuses on 3 different rogues: Calendar Man, Catman, and Killer Moth, specifically, who, back when they were created, were supposed to be foils for Batman. They were supposed to be the evil Batman for the underworld. And then were quickly forgotten as writers forgot to use. That's what a lot of obscure characters were created for. They might have had one interesting story, but then were quickly shelved as only one good story they had. They didn't kill them off. But I think that's really what defined DC. Is for a while it kind of hurt them as they only had these obscure characters like
Crazy Quilt, Eraser, Polka Dot Man, Mime, Tarantula, King Cut, Orca, Killer Moth, Orange Harriet, Zodiac Master, Gentleman Ghost, Clock King, Calendar Man, Kite Man, Cat Man, Zebra Man, and the Condiment King.
Okay, are you making some of those up?
Nope, they're all real. Probably worth the Google.
And I think, as I said, it's what defined DC. So let's get into the story. It was a 3-part story, issues 7 through 9. You can easily get on eBay. I got it for like $10. It's really pretty like 2 characters. Chancer and Nimrod. 2 characters are created for the story and haven't been used since as their newcomers. A new villain, Chancer, and a seemingly hero chasing down Chancer, Nimrod. It opens up with Chancer committing a robbery. His power seems to be luck-based as the cops try to escape and the cop is shot. And this is clearly Chancer using his ability. He has almost thwarted by Batman, but due to his luck, he escapes with the aid of Catman. And then Batman comes into a scuffle with Nimrod, soon escaping as soon as Chancellor escapes. And what I really like is Chancellor doesn't make fun of Catman, Killer Moth, or Calendar Man. He kind of respects them as they are the only villains, but also they show each other respect. Something I don't see much with Batman villains is a lot of them don't team up. A lot of Batman villains usually stay apart, occasionally working together, but soon becoming their own downfall. Nay, the Joker and the Penguin, whenever they team up, usually recently, Penguin just doesn't want to be around the Joker. Unlike early stories where they would team up. You do see that a lot of these characters are down on luck. Catman's still a decent character. He still is somewhat of a threat. I think a gimmick of him having like a pet puma, or I think it's a black leopard actually, is interesting. But characters like Hellman, who is heckled by the rest of the characters in the book, but again, he is useful as he has their whole heist and kidnapping timed out, and Killer Moth seemingly has been broken by being forgotten, as he was one of the first archetypes for being an evil Batman for the underworld, as he wants to have that glory back with one good fix. I think it's also really paralleled by Chancellor. He's this young villain, not quite a evil Batman archetype, but this crook who the rest of the crooks clearly use. And I also like the reference that Adam Grant has. He's like, they're stupid. He kind of makes them competent. They have this simple gimmick that could easily be thwarted by men, but doesn't mean they're still not a threat. So like Killer Moth, as he's now even more adult and more dangerous, leading up to the name of Killer, as he attempts to try to kill certain characters in the book with a sawed-off shotgun, which I find interesting. And also they all have new redesigns. I don't like Catman's redesign in this. I like the design he has after this. I think it was with Secret Six. I like Killer Moth's though. It's interesting. Though I think, when did this come out? (1992). I think it's 1990. I think it's soon he's going to become Carvaxis. You don't know, a Soaring Underworld becomes a literal Killer Moth, and she seems like Carvaxis, I think. Which I find interesting. I like that Batman in this is pretty chill. He's like, they're people I've fought before. They aren't going to be a threat, but is clearly estimating. That's what I also really like about this. Though they may seem hokey, they really are a threat. I think part of it is they were forgotten, and so they try to change themselves and make them more dangerous. I really want to trip this to a quote by David Weber. The world's best swordsman doesn't fear the second best. He fears the worst swordsman because he can't predict what the idiot will do. I really like that quote. It really contributes to this book. It's just... Now, I wasn't reading Batman around this time, or any stories before this, but I read Batman as... He's not cocky that he'll beat them. He's just... Clearly, they either broke out of prison or were on the down low for a bit, where they really weren't a thing. I think around this time... I think his back had been broken, so he hadn't been Batman for a bit. I remember it being afterwards, and Zoom Drake does show up in this book, which I find interesting. It's interesting. I think this story really reinvented these characters forward as they are kind of cult favorites. Interesting that Calendar Man is here, as I think Long Halloween's come around at the same exact point, and it's not the Hannibal Lecter Calendar Man, which I find interesting. But again, they are doing this heist. It's on Calendar Man, but again, they do give him credit as, oh, he's really good with timing everything. He's not as stupid as people think. Again, not much happens, as we see Nimrod in this, as he was someone that Chancellor kind kind of framed as, I think Chancer's the one that killed his girlfriend, uh, and he got sent to prison. He broke out, stole a cell suit, and broke out. So it's really this parallel of number one's a Batman. Uh, he's doing all the good things for a good reason, but with like he's doing the good things with bad intentions. He wants to kill Chancer instead of letting the justice system do it, which is interesting. And he has hurt people. The Misfits, as they are called, as the rest of their plan, I think they wanted to do a bank heist. I think is what it was. But as I said before, what I really enjoy about the story, I think it's what defined DC. It probably doesn't fit most of the prompt, but I think it's what really defined DC in a way, as Marvel's whenever there's an event in Marvel, they seem to only have a main core characters that have to be in the movies. It's Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Hulk, Wolverine, and it's maybe some other characters. But what DC has been doing for a bit, Marvel used to do this, is they always create a new core characters for an event or a story and then try to spin off to other books. A lot of them fail, and they're getting again, but occasionally certain characters would show up. I really want to attribute the any Jack Kirby creations like Manhunter and Peacemaker. Peacemaker did make it into the Suicide Squad movie by James Gunn. Characters like Polka Dot Man, also shown in Suicide Squad, has been reinvented. The Rogues, a group of Flash villains, are a bunch of losers. They'll use tech against a super speedster, but again have been fan favorites on the show, or like on CW shows, which I think I know someone did a CW show one of this. But DC's define themselves by reinventing obscure characters and making them these characters. Like, I wouldn't expect like a book like Mr. Miracle to do well. But that book did super well by Tom King. I really enjoyed it. I really like the message of it. It's PTSD, but in the veins of a performer and someone who was tortured most of his life as a child. It's a really interesting story. Again, Tom King also did some other stories. You might not like Heroes in Crisis, but I do like some of the stuff he did in that with characters like the Protector and some of these other obscure characters. I think he's got another one. I don't remember what it's called. It's coming out, but it was like an obscure DC character during the Justice League in the '90s run. During that, or Justice League International run, he's getting his book. Even the Justice League International were a bunch of obscure characters. Booster Gold had a book by Dan Jurgens back then. But again, was just this new character trying to push and didn't do so well. Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, another one. Fire and Ice, Blue Devil, Bloodwind. Characters like that are obscure, but again, have been fan favorites. Either you like Justice League Incarnate, or you even like Justice League International, or even Justice League Unlimited. It had a lot of those characters. But really, this story defined it as these characters are still around. Catman was on Secret 6. Calendar Man was in the Suicide Squad movie and in the Long Halloween movie. Cat and Killer Moth hasn't been around, but I think he's been just replaced with Firefly. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself, and just I think I'm missing the point. But I think what this really defined DC as it took a healthy mix of big characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and a mix of obscure characters. Like, heck, we got the Forgiveful 8 book during DCU. Just DC likes to try weird things, and they do really well. I think that's what defined DC, is taking their chances with these forgettable characters. So, yeah, that's kind of my video. I don't know if I got the point across. I hope you guys do enjoy the video. If I did get the point across, please put what are your favorite regrettable or your forgotten character. Did you guys enjoy my brief read into the Misfits? I'll put a link, eBay link, where you can get the story. You can easily get it for like $10, or if they had a trade of it, I'll put a link to that somewhere. Yeah, so it's a really fun story. There's a lot of shot of the bat stories. It's loads of fun. I really enjoy it. Thanks to Mr. Rogues for getting this look for seeing for pointing out the story. I really enjoy it. Another thing you could also get is The League of Regrettable Superheroes by John Morris. Breaks down a bunch of different obscure characters, like certain pulp characters, like Dracula from Dell Comics, Miracles Incorporated, the Sentinels, Adam X the Extreme, Captain Ultra, Jack Kirby's Captain Victory, stuff like that. It's loads of fun. It's a fun book. And it really, stuff like that just reinform my also love of pulp characters like the Spirit and the Rocketeer. I don't know. I'm just rambling on at this point, so we're gonna end the video. So hopefully it's made in the playlist. So